Jamaica has reached the most decisive moment in its modern history. After years of preparation, studies, and waiting, the country is now standing at the very last step before producing its own oil.
The resource potential of this basin is huge. To date, and without the benefit of full 3D seismic coverage across the 22,000 square kilometres, and just let me give you some perspective, 22,000 square kilometres, you can put 3.5 million football pitches into 22,000 square kilometres. That's the acreage that we have, which holds over 7 billion barrels of mean prospective resources. So there's plenty of upside here and plenty of running room.
United Oil and Gas, the company leading this effort, now holds every regulatory approval it needs to move from theory into action. The Walton Morant Basin, off the southern coast of Jamaica, has been known for years as one of the most promising but untapped offshore areas in the Caribbean. With the permits now secured, physical work is about to begin, and once this work is completed, the road to drilling is open and oil production will follow. This is not a story of possibility anymore. It is a story of reality. Jamaica has crossed the line between research and action. The government has granted both the environmental permit and the beach license, and that means the work offshore is officially greenlit. United Oil and Gas will now carry out seabed sampling, which is the last technical stage before drilling begins. These samples will confirm what the data has already been telling us for years, that hydrocarbons are present in the basin and that commercial oil resources are ready to be developed. Once those samples are processed, the company will finalize arrangements with a farm-in partner. That partner will bring the financial strength to drill the first exploration well offshore Jamaica. Drilling offshore is expensive, but that is no longer an obstacle. The strength of the data and the confirmation from these samples will make Jamaica one of the most attractive new oil frontiers in the region. A partner will join, the well will be drilled, and Jamaica's first commercial discovery will be made.
All the wells that have been drilled to date have had oil shows, even way back to the 1950s. There are numerous seeps identified and sampled both onshore and offshore. There's seismic evidence for hydrocarbon migration. You don't have to be a seismologist to see it. You can see the chimneys rising up to the surface, the gas chimneys. The Cretaceous source rock development is that we've done some basin modelling that shows where the source rocks are and how that has been built up in the basin. We have supportive government policy in fiscal terms, and essentially the resource here is comparable to the Stabroek resource in Guyana. So massive potential in the Walton Morant and the potential to actually produce up to and exceed 1 million barrels of oil production per day.
The Walton Morant Basin is enormous. It covers more than 22,000 square kilometers, with over 2,000 square kilometers of advanced three-dimensional seismic coverage already in place. Within this area, 11 prospects have been mapped and high-graded. Independent reports estimate that the basin holds over 7 billion barrels of oil, with more than 2.4 billion barrels in the priority prospects alone. These are world-class numbers. Once drilling begins, Jamaica will join the ranks of major new oil producers in the region. The comparisons are clear. Guyana was once in this same position, and today it has become one of the fastest-growing economies in the world because of oil.
I suspect that some of you might have a question in your minds, which is, why now and not before? After all, the first well drilled here was almost 70 years ago. First, it is usual rather than unusual for frontier basins to take decades before monetization occurs. And if we think about Guyana, for example, which is the most recent frontier basin to be opened up, the first well was in the 80s and first discovery was in May 2015.
Jamaica is now stepping into that same path. With similar geology, similar offshore basins, and now the same decisive progress in exploration, the outcome is set. Jamaica is on the verge of becoming an oil-producing country. The moment the drill bit touches the seabed, the discovery will confirm what has been known for years. Jamaica's waters hold vast energy resources, and those resources will fuel national growth for decades to come. The benefits will be extraordinary. Oil revenue will strengthen the Jamaican dollar, reduce debt pressures, and give the government more resources to invest in its people. The benefits will flow through every community, every parish, and every generation to come. The opportunities for young people will multiply. Skilled jobs in engineering, logistics, services, and technology will expand. New educational programs will be launched to prepare workers for the energy sector. Oil will not only bring money, it will bring knowledge, training, and opportunities that will lift the entire country. And this is just the beginning. The Walton-Morant Basin is the first license to move forward, but it will not be the last. Success here will trigger a wave of new exploration across Jamaica's offshore territory. More companies will invest, more wells will be drilled, more discoveries will be made. Within a decade, Jamaica will no longer be an importer of energy, it will be an exporter.
So I've shown you the immense size of the prize at Walton-Morant, and let's now consider the very important question of how we would go about unlocking that value potential. We've identified more than 7 billion barrels of potential on the block, and there are numerous prospects and leads that are greater on their own than 500 million barrels, and some that are up to 1 billion barrels in size, and you'll see more of that later in the presentation. This resource distribution gives us a great choice of initial targets to open up the block, and which provides us with great flexibility in how we approach developing the block. Any one of these large prospects alone would create excellent economic return. But given the sheer scale of the resource potential here, we would develop the area using FPSO, floating production storage offshore hubs. These are just big ships, basically, that process things on board.
The country will supply oil and gas to the region and the world, building a new pillar of strength in its economy. The future is no longer uncertain. It is clear. Jamaica is at the final step. The permits are secured, the technical work is ready, the partner will join, the drilling will begin, the oil will flow, and the country will rise to a new level of prosperity. This is the path ahead. This is what Jamaica has been waiting for. Every stage of the journey has been building toward this moment. The seismic surveys showed the promise. The resource estimates confirmed the scale. The permits unlocked the final barrier. And now the seabed sampling will provide the confirmation that the oil industry needs to move full speed into drilling.
We have about an hour and a half of technical data that really goes through all of those elements that I talked about: the presence of a working petroleum system, the presence of reservoir, the permeability of that reservoir, the source rock that generated the hydrocarbons, and then the seal that's keeping those hydrocarbons in. So we're obviously not going to show you that here, but what I will say to you is that all 11 wells that have been drilled so far have found hydrocarbons.